Brothers and sisters, mayang gabi. I just came from another training, so I Zoom all the way here. Staying in the comforts of my room. I can be anywhere I like. I'm here to share with you some of my thoughts about the third servant. You see, brothers and sisters, we can appreciate the first two servants more when we understand better the behavior of the third servant. And quickly, let me just tell you my summary of the third servant. The problem with the third servant, brothers and sisters, is not the scarcity of talent. The problem with the third servant was the abundance of fear. You see, the problem of the third servant was not the absence of talent, for he was given. The problem with the third servant was the presence of fear. Not the absence of talent, but the presence of fear. Kaya brothers and sisters, yung biro natin mga Pilipino, may biro tayong mga Pilipino eh. Ang biro natin na, siguro nung nagbigay ang Diyos ng talento, absent ako. Brothers and sisters, hindi po totoo yun. Wala pong absent, hindi tayo pwede ma-absent kasi lahat po tayo nabigyan eh. Di ba? And according to the parable of the talent, everybody was given. Unfortunately, the problem with the third servant was not the absence of talent, but the presence of fear. And so every time we talk about fear, brothers and sisters, I'm reminded of a very special experience I had that already happened here in Cebu. Some of you already know, I used to be from Manila. Years ago, about maybe almost 20 years ago, when I moved my family to Cebu, and this is now our new home. And since then, I have spelled my full name completely. James Osorio Fantone, because Osorio is my Cebuano name. But anyways, brothers and sisters, there was a very big announcement that was made when we were new here in Cebu. And I got really excited because the announcement says there was a world-class speaker who was coming to town. And when I checked the name of this world-class speaker that they were saying who will be coming to Cebu, I got doubly excited because the person they were referring to was no other than Miles Monroe. He's not a member of the church. Not a lot of people probably know him, but I know him because I read a lot of his articles. I follow this guy on YouTube, and I got excited. I immediately bought 2 tickets. 2 tickets po agad ang binili ko. Nung narinig ko na Miles Monroe is coming to Cebu, I bought 2 tickets. One for me, and one for my eldest daughter who was only 14 years old during that time. 14 years old. So pagbili ko ng ticket, inabot ko sa kanya. Can you just picture that in your mind? A 14-year-old girl? Siguro sabi nung aking daughter, what will I do? What will a 14-year-old girl do to a seminar of whoever this Miles Monroe is? But you know, brothers and sisters, my eldest daughter will forever be grateful that she came with me, and I'm so grateful up until today that we both did. The day of the seminar came. We both entered this huge theater. Thousands of Cebuanos were there that day. We were only 2 of the many people who were there. And I'll never forget, Miles Monroe started this presentation with a question. He said, or he asked, ladies and gentlemen, where do you think is the wealthiest place on earth? Saan sa tingin ninyo ang pinakamayaman na lugar sa mundong ito? After a few seconds, somebody shouted from the audience, United States of America. The other one, yung isa sumagot, Japan. May sumigaw, Germany. Gusto ko po sanang sumigaw ng Philippines. Napigilan ho ako. Hindi na lang ako nakigulo. And then a lot of other answers were given. And after patiently waiting for all the answers, Miles Monroe answered his own question with an answer that was truly unforgettable. Miles Monroe said, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your wonderful answers. But as far as I'm concerned, he said, the wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery. Oh, we were all shocked. We were all shocked. We were looking at each other, whispering to one another, did we just hear what he just said? Cementerio daw. And then he explained. He said, ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, the wealthiest place on earth is a cemetery. Because inside cemeteries are not only dead people who are buried. He said, inside cemeteries are buried together with dead people. Songs that have never been sung. Cakes that have never been baked. Books that have never been written. Businesses that have never been launched. And then I'll never forget, he said this. Every time somebody dies, with their talents never shared. It is the cemetery that wins. Wow. That is wisdom from a truly world-class speaker. And then, he gave an invitation to all of us who were there. Kala ko okay na, busog na ako eh. He gave an invitation. He said, I invite everybody in this room to make a promise to themselves that they would die empty. Wow! Die empty. And of course, we know now what he meant by that. Go ahead and share your talents to the world. Everybody, all of us are given talents. The problem is not the absence of talents. The problem is the abundance of fear. And I think you will agree with me that number one on the list why people are scared, or people are hesitant to share their talents, is because of fear. Because of fear. Wow. Well, brothers and sisters, here's another problem. And just like what Lloyd mentioned earlier, you see what fear does to us is very tricky. Fear keeps us inside our comfort zones. I want you to write that down, brothers and sisters, on your notebooks. Comfort zone. That is a dangerous zone. Comfort zones are dangerous zones because comfort zones are what keeps us from taking on the next adventures of life, keeps us from sharing our talents fully so that others may benefit as well. You see, that is the problem with fear. It keeps us inside our comfort zones. The goal is to learn to step out of the comfort zone. And that's exactly what the first two servants did. The first two servants was able to double the talents that were given to them because they were willing to step out of their comfort zone. Now, I'm going to show you a short video, a short, cute, few seconds only video. This short video, brothers and sisters, few seconds, you'll be able to capture the essence of what we're talking about.
Do you know how birds learn to fly? The mother that feeds them keeps moving away from them, further and further, till the baby leaves the nest and falls off the branch. Slowly, the baby realizes if it spreads its wings, it can slow down the fall. If it flaps its wings, it can break the fall. And that's how the falls turn into flights.
That's how the falls turn into flights. Wow, short but powerful. Now I'm going to ask you, brothers and sisters, a very important question. The answer to the question, of course, is very obvious, but we have to ask it nonetheless so that we can capture the essence of this truly beautiful, short but powerful video. What was the baby bird's comfort zone? Ayun, narinig ko si sister. The nest. Very good. Thank you so much. The nest was the baby bird's comfort zone. Did you notice, brothers and sisters, the wisdom of the mother bird? She nudged the baby bird off the nest. Diba? Tinanggal niya. Ano nangyari? Nabukulan. Pero, natutong lumipad. Yun ang importante. You see, brothers and sisters, there's a pay. There's a price we need to pay when we leave the comfort zones. Of course there is. But please remember this, the reward will always be greater than the pain. I want you to remember that. Of course there's a price. Success is not cheap. Don't offer it to cheap people. There is a price to pay. But the reward will always be greater than all of the pains that we will go through and experience. What a wonderful lesson, brothers and sisters. So now I'm going to ask you to do something really important. For the next 30 seconds, I want you to write down on your notebooks an example, or maybe examples, but at least one, an example of a true and actual comfort zone for you right now. Okay? So please write down, what are some of your nests today? What are some of your comfort zones? Meaning, ano-ano yung mga humahadlang sa atin that keeps us from taking on the next adventures of life, right? So keeping us there in our comfort zones. So write it down. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Well, brothers and sisters, let me just complete my short sharing with you. Um, uh, we started off learning from the parable of the talents, and this became the jumping point for us to be able to understand fear and its ability to paralyze us. You see, I'm really, when I get excited about something, I do my own digging, I do my own research. There are a lot of great commentaries about the parable of the talents from the Bible, even from our own church scholars, but I just wanted to know more. And let me just quickly share with you some of the things that I found out. Bible scholars all over the world agree that the talent, the equivalent value of the talent that the Lord gave. Di ba yung third servant, one lang yung binigay niya? One talent yun, talent. That talent is equivalent to our monetary value today of $1 million or 50 million pesos. What a great lesson that we can capture from that. Meaning the master was really trusting and confident with all of his servants, including the third, for him to give him 50 million pesos in order for him to do something about it. You see, brothers and sisters, every talent that is given to us is truly given to us, not just to enrich ourselves, because it has the power to, but to enrich others and to enrich the world. But once again, the problem has always been not the absence of talents, but the presence of so much fear. Let me just close with one more experience I had. I had the opportunity, brothers and sisters, to be trained by Michael Gerber, considered today as the #1 small business guru, in his beautiful house up there in the mountains of Carlsbad, California. And after 1 week of training with him, Michael Gerber gave us this thick manual. I kid you not, brothers and sisters, ang kapal po nung manual. And talk about fear. Fear is real. Nung binigay niya yung manual sa amin, sabi niya, now it's time for you to go back to your countries and share this great training and this great message to your fellow men. I tell you, fear started to envelop all of us in that room. This thick of a manual. And then we were discussing this with one another. Ang tanong namin is, when will you start teaching this? Lahat kami takot di ba? Kailangan natin paghandaan ito. Nakakatakot ito. Ang kapal. And the American said, give me 5 months. The New Zealander said, give me 6 months. Me, the Filipino said, sabi ko, give me 8 months. My goodness, this is scary. And then we went to Michael Gerber and asked the same question. Michael, when do you think we can start giving this? And we were hoping that he would give us the same answers that we gave each other. And then he said, I'll give you the answer immediately. Immediately. And then I think he was reading what was running through our minds. He added these words. He said, never be afraid to look like a fool. F-O-O-L. Never be afraid to look like a fool. He said, whatever success I have, and I promise you, brothers and sisters, this guy is pretty successful with a very successful consulting business, a best-selling book, a wonderful family, a wonderful wife, a beautiful house up there in the hills of Carlsbad, California. He said, whatever success I enjoy today, it is because I have never been afraid to look like a fool. Never be afraid. Brothers and sisters, I hope that you will remember that the wealthiest place on earth is a cemetery. And I hope that you will make a promise, just like I did that day with Miles Monroe, that you will make a promise that you will die empty.